everybody! Welcome to Living Traditions Homestead. My name is Sarah. This is my husband Kevin. And we've been talking about how we can try to help new homesteaders or people who are thinking about beginning their homesteading journey in regards to meat and raising your own animals for meat. And we've been talking about, well, what's our best advice for new homesteaders or upcoming homesteaders, and what do we think you should start with first? So we thought we would just kind of talk about that and our opinion, and hopefully it will help some of you out.
So for those of you who have been following us for a while, you know that we've, for about the last 7 years, haven't bought any meat in a grocery store. We've raised nearly everything that we eat here on the homestead in regards to meat. We used to still buy a quarter side of beef every year from a rancher when we lived in Arizona. Since we moved to Missouri for the last 2.5 years, we haven't done that either. Now we raise 100% of the meat that we eat here on the homestead. As of this year, we also butcher 100% of the meat that we eat here on the homestead, because this year we did our own pigs. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching those videos as we tackled that for the very first time this year. So we feel like we have a little bit of experience in this part of homesteading now, that we can share with you guys and share kind of how we learned and what we think is the easiest route for you to learn as well.
I want to back up a little bit and just review some of the animals that we've raised for meat, so that you know that we have experience with various things. So we have raised chickens for meat, rabbits, turkeys, quail, pigs, goats, and while we don't eat or raise beef anymore, we actually hunt,
right.
And we substitute the red meat of venison instead of beef, and that we harvest on our own property and we butcher that ourselves too.
Right.
So have I missed anything? Oh, duck.
Oh,
We've
duck.
also done duck.
Duck, and
yes.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Okay, so we do know a little bit about all these different types of meats that a homesteader could raise for their family.
Right. And on top of that, we've actually taught several other families how to process their own meat. So we have some experience teaching hands-on as well as giving advice to you guys through YouTube. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with what we feel is where every homesteader should start when it comes to raising their own meat. Now, ultimately, I'm normally the one who does the actual slaughtering and butchering of the animals. Sarah does, Sarah helps a lot as far as, when we do chickens, she does the plucking and all of that. But I'm the one who does the gutting and the actual killing of the animals. So I'm going to speak from a little bit of experience when it comes to that aspect of it. I feel like every homesteader should start with chickens. Even though, if you ask me which was easier to process, chickens or rabbits, I would say really rabbits are easier. The reason that I'm going to say start with chickens is because I feel like for the person who has never really killed many animals before, it's a little less likely to get attached to chickens the way it is to rabbits. I think a lot of people kind of get attached to rabbits because they're used to having them as pets. They're cuter, they're softer, they're fluffier, and so maybe the first few times it's going to be a little harder to do a rabbit than it will be a chicken. Now that's just my opinion. You guys can disagree with me if you want.
I also agree that chickens are a good first step because everybody has eaten chicken before. There's not that fear factor of whether or not you'll like the meat, if you'll like the flavor and the taste of it. When it comes to rabbits, which we love rabbit meat, that's not something that most people have eaten before. So there's that fear factor there as well, because you're just afraid you might not like it, and you might go through all of this work and raise them and butcher them, and then maybe you won't like it, but I guarantee you will. So in that respect, I agree with you that homesteaders should start with chickens when they're raising their meat.
The other thing is, almost everyone knows what a chicken is supposed to look like when it's properly butchered. You've bought a whole chicken at the store, so you have an idea of what it's supposed to look like, which gives you a good image in your mind of whether or not you're doing things right as you're going through the process.
Right. It's also, if you're raising broiler chickens, the Cornish cross, it's a relatively short time period from the time that you get them from the hatchery to the time that they get into the freezer, and that moves along. So you also have almost an immediate sense of accomplishment, and that is something that, as new homesteaders and you're a little bit intimidated, that's something that really helps out a lot. A little encouragement and a little excitement there can go a long way, really motivate you in your whole process.
Right. Now what I would recommend is that your very first time, you try to get some like free roosters or old hens from someone, only because there's less pressure if you mess something up. You can, make some mistakes and not feel as bad. You're not wasting this, nice, beautiful bird that you spent a lot of money to raise. If a lot of times people are willing to give away extra roosters and that type of thing, get some of those. They'll still be just fine for eating. They won't be quite as good as the broiler chickens.
Tender. It won't be quite as tender.
They won't be quite as tender, right? But they'll be just fine, and you'll have all the enjoyment of doing it yourself.
Absolutely.
Now the second animal that I think everybody needs to start with after chickens is definitely rabbits. By the time you've done a couple chickens or several chickens, you really need to just be over the fear of butchering your own animals. If you're having a really hard time with that, then you really need to decide if raising your own meat is for you, or if you need to maybe continue to buy from a local farmer or someone like that. But at some point you need to make that decision, and I think rabbits are the next best thing for the new homesteader to try.
Rabbits are really easy to raise. They're easy to get the entire family involved, and even though it might be a longer process because you're breeding most likely here, so rabbits from birth to butcher really is still a pretty short time frame, maybe 10 to 12 weeks.
Right. Yeah, and if you're processing rabbits at the right time, when they're young, at that 10 to 12 week age, they're real easy to skin. They gut real easy. They're just really easy. Like I said, I actually think they're easier than chickens. I can do an entire litter of rabbits in less than an hour. You don't need a plucker, you don't need a scalder, you don't need all the equipment that you need when you're doing a lot of chickens. So really rabbits are easier, but I would still start with chickens if I were you.
The process of butchering rabbit is a lot cleaner too.
Right.
There's a lot less water used and mess. Processing chickens is pretty messy.
Right. Now I really feel like once you've mastered those two animals, chickens and rabbits, you're really ready to progress to really everything else. Sarah and I always kind of joke, and we always say that like everything else is just a bigger chicken or a bigger rabbit. And that's really true. When you do turkeys, you'll find out they're really just a really big chicken. Same really with ducks and geese. They're a little harder to pluck and that sort of thing, but the basics are very much just like doing a chicken.
The anatomy is the same. It's just a different shape or a different size.
Right. And same, with rabbits. If you can master doing rabbits, you can easily move to goats or deer or pigs. They're all basically just a really big rabbit. So there you go. This is a question that we get asked a lot, so we thought we would do a video to help kind of give you guys our thoughts on this subject. It's something that really we probably get asked on a weekly basis, so we hope that this helps clarify some things for you guys. Hey, we'd like to know from you, what was the very first animal that you processed on your homestead if you're raising your own meat? Leave it in the comments below. We love hearing from you guys.
You guys, if you enjoyed this video and if you're enjoying our channel and you're not subscribed yet, right now is a perfect time to hit the subscribe button below. Don't forget to check us out on all of our social media, including Instagram. And until next time, thanks so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.